Happy Friday to you all, and welcome to episode 10 of the Jeff and Nick Show. We've got a fun one for you today. We're discussing 42, the story of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier, and Mr. Baseball, a comedy movie about an American baseball player going to Japan. Jeff, how's Friday so far?
Friday is good. 49ers won last night. My daughter's team went 1-1 against Santa Monica for their flag football. She got an interception, so that was good. And yeah, not too bad. Just had lunch with my wife at old Chick-fil-A. Woohoo! Friday, we usually do that every Friday at lunchtime. So, what about you? How's yours going? I know you're a little under the weather today.
Not too bad. Not too bad. I got those cough drops, the whole Vin Scully care system going, water, cough drops.
That's right. That's all you need.
I got some good stuff for mound visits. You got anything you want to discuss?
Well, I'm waiting for you to ask me who my favorite number 10 player is.
Yeah, give me your favorite number 10.
Well, since Niners did play last night, Mr. Handsome himself, Jimmy G, number 10, he was there probably for like a couple years there. But I'm gonna stick, even though they're just in the news for the wrong reasons. My beloved A's, Pete Rose ended his career at an All-Star game. He was number 10, All-Star for the Oakland A's, played I think for the Indians also. Going to give it up to Mr. Fosse there. He's a great broadcaster. Loved him on the air. He was great. He'd always, every time like a good play, he was always wow. Wow. Like kind of very silent, just wow. He was great. Ray Fosse was the best. Had a long battle with cancer there, and I think he died earlier this year. So that's my number 10. How about you?
Chipper Jones, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. above and beyond any number 10 that I can imagine.
Sure.
Jimmy was great for the quarterback
good.
that they needed for the transition.
Yeah, exactly. Like a good transition to now, right? Or I thought he was going to be a lot better. He started off on fire and then just kind of fizzled out there. Just threw too many picks. He's just so handsome, though.
He's just so good looking.
He's so good looking.
He makes a perfect 1B with Tom Brady in Las Vegas.
Exactly. Yeah, seriously. Exactly.
Right.
The only one other I had, I think we were talking about Meg Ryan. We couldn't think of that movie. And Courage Under Fire, I believe, was the one we were looking for, right? Was that it?
Yes, that was it.
Denzel?
Correct.
Courage Under Fire. I think Matt Damon was in that too, wasn't he? I want to say.
There was a good cast in that, and we're going to have to revisit that anyway because I didn't even look at it. I just looked at Meg Ryan in Courage Under Fire.
That was all I got.
All right. I got a couple. Babe Ruth was in a silent film in 1927 called The Babe Comes Home. Oh. It didn't make it in the theaters because they introduced sound into films at that time. So in that movie, he was portraying a character on the Los Angeles Angels. So somewhere in the internet, there is a picture of Babe Ruth in a Los Angeles Angels uniform.
That's awesome.
Lou Gehrig was Lou Gehrig was the 9th Yankee captain, and currently Aaron Judge is the 16th Yankee captain.
Wow. Well, I know Jeter was captain for a long time.
He was.
Was Mattingly?
Mattingly was, and so was Guidry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Do all teams do a captain? Do all teams have captains like that? Is that a Yankees thing?
It just might be a Yankee thing,
Yeah, because I've never heard of the A's or Dodgers having captains. Like I know football teams have captains.
Hockey teams have captains.
Hockey too. Yeah. I don't know about basketball. I don't think so.
Whoever goes out for the flip before the
tip off.
Tip off, yeah. Couldn't think of the word.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So that's interesting. If it's a Yankee kind of a Yankee thing,
I think it would be.
Of course, Yankees gotta be special, gotta be different, gotta be stupid.
Those darn Yankees. Lou Gehrig was one of 28 Triple Crown winners. The last one, this is the only one that happened in our lifetime, is Miguel Cabrera,
who is retiring this year.
Yeah, Miguel 2012. Cabrera. 11 years later, he's hanging them up.
Gosh,
they got swept.
Damn team.
They got swept in the World Series.
Good. They knocked us out of the playoffs. Stupid effing Justin Verlander. 2 years in a row, 12 and 13. Could not get past the Tigers. I think we had him to 5 games. I think we took him to 5 games both years. The A's were much better in 2013, but 2012 we were just kind of like happy to be there. That was kind of like nobody expected that at all. I think we won. That was the year that they won on the very last day of the season. They beat the Rangers. They won the West. The very last day. Didn't lead the AL West anytime throughout the season, except for game 162. At the end of game 162, it was the only time that they led the whole division. I remember that like distinctly. Running out of my house, running down the street to go pick up my kid at school. I was like, wait, like, hurry up. This game is a daytime game. And I remember running out of the house, all my A's gear, just, yeah, let's go. Like running down the street because it was close. So I ran to pick him up. And so like, I remember that distinctly. The orange, the yellow jerseys, that was the Hamilton when he missed the ball up in the sky. And then, and go on to lose against the Tigers. But
I went
go back and watch game game four of that division series, wild card series against the Tigers. Amazing comeback by the A's in the ninth inning. They were down 3-1, and it went Reddick single, Josh Donaldson double, Seth Smith double, Coco Crisp single to win it. Amazing, such great. Oh God, I get the chills just thinking about it.
Covelli Crisp. That 2012 team, I saw the Tigers play the Giants in the World Series. I made a bonsai trip up to San Francisco to catch game 2 because I figure there's no way that I really want to go to a Dodger World Series game when I don't really care if the Dodgers win or lose a World Series. And when's the next time the Angels are ever going to be in the World Series?
Seriously.
So, yeah, I remember that. I remember watching game 1 and seeing Sandoval hit 3 home runs. That's how I'm so good at that question, because I remember that happening. And then Bumgarner pitched game 2, and it was a 2-0 win. And I think the Giants staff only allowed 2 hits in the entire game.
I was rooting for the Tigers that World Series because I hate the Giants. I remember now. Like, oh yeah, once you said the Giants, like, oh, that's right. I did actually root for the Tigers because anybody but the Giants for me. So,
if anybody is curious as to what ALS means, it's amyotrophic lateral sclerosis.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not sure why I wanted to see how far Cincinnati was from Pittsburgh, but it's 288 miles.
Well, there you go.
Not
that far.
No, not that far. It's closer to Cleveland, though.
That makes sense.
The Pirate Stadium in 1972 was Three Rivers, not Forbes Field.
Oh, really?
It was the start of the Monsanto Turf Dome. And there are the Culkins are Kieran, Shane, Dakota, Macaulay, Quinn, Christian, and Rory.
Wow. Those are all boys? Or is there a girl mixed in there?
There's a girl, and then there's a stepdaughter as well.
Oh, okay.
I had to look at a lot of Culkins, and one of them is, of course, he's the most famous one. Macaulay for his Home Alone 2.
Home Alone.
But who ate all my pizza? All right.
I do have to barf it up.
And then that Saturday Night Live skit is hilarious too. All right. We are going to start with 42 because it is a movie that omitted so many. God, I'm happy I didn't live in this time of the century because I could not.
Brutal, right?
It was so bad. It was so brutal. And how the scriptwriter and the actors did not take any liberties. You are put into what he had to deal with.
Yeah.
And, filmed in released in 2013, Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, as Jackie Robinson. Harrison Ford as Branch Rickey. And then you had Mr. Law and Order, Christopher Maloney as Leo DeRocher.
He was great. He was so good in that.
He was really good.
I wanted more of him. I wanted more Leo DeRocher there.
Yeah, but he's the tie between him and between Jackie Robinson and Willie Mays is Leo DeRocher. I really wish they did a Willie Mays movie as well. Another Scrubs reference, John C. McGinley was Red Barber.
Yep. Oh, was that not Vin Scully?
No, it was not Vin Scully. That was Red Barber. Vin didn't make his debut until the early 50s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just assumed, like Dodgers. I just assumed that was Vin. Just assumed that was Vin Scully. Kind of sounds like. Well, it kind of sounds like. Oh, it kind of has. I could see like Vin looking that way when he was younger, he kind of had the same type of cadence, that same type of deep voice. I just assumed it was Vin. But what was it?
Yeah,
Red Barber? Is that what you said?
Red Barber. So this movie was primarily filmed in Macon, Georgia, Birmingham, Alabama, and Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I did some research. Bozeman trained from January to May, twice a day in Los Angeles with both collegiate and MLB coaches.
Oh,
What what'd you think of this one, Jeff?
yeah. This was a really good movie. It was really well made. I'm Yeah, Chadwick Boseman. I mean, he's such a he was such a good actor. Is was like you said, our rest in peace Chadwick. A really good actor. He really portrayed Jackie Robinson in a really good way. I thought, just you could feel it, man. You could really feel the tension in this movie, the time of the way of those times back that in that time in the 40s. Was there 1946? There was 400 players. There was not one single white, one single of colored player, black, Mexican, Latino, whatever, like all white, like in 1946, 400 players, all of them white. And then, next year you get one. That's just wild to think about back those days. Cause I mean, you look at the sport now and it's not that way. It's completely, integrated and for the better. It's just wild to think that. I mean, that's not even 100 years ago. You know what I mean? Like that's not even. It's 80 years ago. It's not even that long ago in the grand scheme of things. Here, I mean, they've been playing at this time, 1946. They've been playing since what the 1880s, somewhere around
1880s.
there. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like that's like 60 years, man. And they always make that argument of like, Babe Ruth never played against, the black players, Satchel Paige and things like that. It's a valid argument to have. I mean, that's definitely true. I mean, look at Jackie Robinson came in and he dominated from the start. It wasn't like a rookie coming in. I mean, like, he had played and everything, but you know, I mean, it's just crazy that it took that long to happen. And I thought it was a really good, really, really well made movie. I think it's the guy who did LA Confidential, Brian Heglin, I think did it. He's a really good director too. Did he do Almost Famous? Is that right or no?
I'm not sure.
I'm thinking maybe somebody
that.
else, but yeah, I like the line of like I want the guy who's got the guts to not fight back. I thought that was a really good way to put it because yeah, it's easy. Anybody could hear those slangs and everything and just be like, I'm gonna go knock these people out, and that would have painted them in a bad light. You know what I mean? Then the people of that time would have been like, "Oh, look, see, that justifies our racism." Look at this guy; they can't be controlled, and we let a black player in, and now look, he's beating everybody up. Like, it really did take a special person in Jackie Robinson to break that barrier, and what a courageous and noble thing he really did, and just to take it on the chin, publicly it blows my mind, and it's a shame he's not with us today. I don't know how old he would have been. Would he still be? He'd still be alive today, yeah, or yeah, maybe
He would be, but
he'd be
he died
pretty
of
old.
cancer.
He'd be pretty old, yeah.
Yeah. His wife just passed away recently.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, that's right. I do remember that. So, like I said, really good movie. Very well done. Very well made. Baseball was really good. The baseball scenes I thought were really, really good. I mean, if he's training for 6 months, two times a day, then should be right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah. What about you? I know
I
you're
really
Jackie
liked
Robinson
it. I'm a fan of integration. I'm a fan of the Negro Leagues. I'm a fan of baseball at its purest. And with a lot of the talk about how things have changed recently, to me, baseball's baseball. Baseball's consistently changing to try to make it more interesting and funner. They're not going to change softball because guess what? We're not playing at the highest level. We're just playing to go out there and play. It's a
How dare you?
game.
I played
How dare I? Right? I read a lot of books about the Negro Leagues and how they play the game, how they steal bases and they're aggressive and they're not shy about it. That's the
What
way
do
the
you mean?
baseball.
Like, what's their stealing bases different? Like, what is it different about it?
Just before he made an impact, there wasn't a lot of steals.
Oh, it wasn't like a thing.
No, it wasn't a thing. He was aggressive on the base pass.
Hmm.
And just their flair for the game, bringing a little bit more flair.
little more fun, a little
Correct.
more entertainment. We're here to entertain too, man. That's part of the game too. Entertainment. That's part of the game. Fun, entertainment, and obviously the sport of it.
I love the fact that he was from California. Four sport athlete at UCLA. He played baseball, basketball, football, and ran track and field.
Track, yeah.
And
Amazing. What an athlete. Jeez.
yeah, right.
Crazy.
Look at how much they signed him for when he signed initially for the Dodgers. $600 a month and a $3,500 signing bonus.
Yeah.
Back then, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Especially for somebody straight out of college or playing in the Negro leagues, where you look at the bus that they're riding on, and it's like, what do you mean I can't go to the bathroom?
Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, I mean, that costs what, $100 to fill up that tank or something like that. I think
100 gallons of gas.
100 gallons of gas. That's what.
100 gallons of gas. I didn't even see the sign for how much it was, but
like 20 cents. I don't know. I don't know how much gas.
$20 back then's a lot of money.
Yeah.
The gentleman that played. So when Branch Rickey's talking about bringing a black player into Major League Baseball, he's talking about Satchel Paige. They're talking about Roy Campanella, and Campanella is one of the next ones, and Satchel Paige makes his debut the next year for the Indians.
Oh, okay. Does he really? Okay.
Yeah, one of the guys.
How old was Satchel Paige? Was he older? He was older, right?
He was a lot older.
That's why. Yeah, I really like that scene. How they, I mean, going through the list of players, like I could see that happening. Like, how do we? Because I mean, Satchel Paige was probably the right person to take. Like, he would have, of the names that like he was probably the best player, right, of the Negro Leagues. That's from generally. I don't know much about it. Generally, from what I know, he's the best player, but on the older side, and he's a pitcher. And I think obviously they made the right decision in Jackie Robinson, but you could easily see how they could pick Satchel Paige, and now they could not, I guess, too. Like I said, they want somebody younger and maybe a little more dynamic. But it wouldn't have been beyond the realm of possibility for them to pick Satchel Paige, because he probably was the biggest name and the best player in that league at the time. So interesting. I like that scene where they're just kind of going through things, almost like analytics, right? I mean, like you say, like if you don't look at the player, you're just looking at the numbers. Like, who do you pick? It's you don't look at the color of their skin or what they look like running. You just look at the numbers, and that's what should be standing out, and that's what Branch Rickey wanted.
There was one of the lines where Branch Rickey had said, if he, or it was Leo DeRocher, he said, if he's got the goods, he deserves a fair chance.
Yeah.
And that's true. If he's good enough to play at this level, why can't he? Well, because of the color of his skin. And then, they go to the owner of the Phillies or the GM of the Phillies, and he's complaining, we can't have him play here. This is not what our organization is about. Well, okay, cool. Well, so when you get called to heaven and you're at the gates and they say, how come you had this problem? Well, because he was black. Oh, that's why. So you're going to base somebody based on the color of their skin and not what's inside of them.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That in that one scene where Ben Chapman, the manager, is just, that was so hard to watch, dude. Just like, stop. What you were yelling? Just stop, man. Stop. Somebody do something. Just, calling him, derogatory word after word after word. And just, and then he has the breakdown after. That was such a good scene. I really love how they came to his defense at the end. Kind of the turning point of the relationship between him and his team. But they saw him as a equal part of the team, and not just some guy who's there that has, different color skin. He's our teammate now. Like, we need to step up for him. Maybe not everybody liked him just because maybe they just didn't like him. That's, you're perfectly well within your right. If you have a reason, like, this dude, I don't care about the color of his skin, his personality, I don't really like it. But, you're still teammates, and you have to come to defense of your teammate, no matter what. It doesn't matter. Like, you need to be there for your teammate anytime, especially if you're going to fight. Like, it's on. Like, we can talk about this softball. Like, people get heated, and it's like, if it's time, then I got to go out there. And, like, I don't want to fight anybody. I'll probably get my ass kicked, but I got to go out there if it's my teammates. If they're jawing and if it goes on, then I'm not going to let my teammates down. I got to, I'll be the last of the line, but I'll be the last one in, but I'll get there eventually. You know what I mean? But
I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there. That was a really good scene. Really hard to watch. If you haven't watched it, beware. I was watching with my daughter, and she was even like, "Dad, this is terrible. What is wrong with this?" I'm like, honey, that's what it was like. Like, from all accounts, like that's probably even nothing, compared to what he had to go through that one scene. That was, probably the worst scene in the movie. But I can almost guarantee that's probably not even the worst thing he endured. So like I said, courageous man.
One of the books that I'd read called The Era by Roger Kahn. It's about the 1940 to 1957, 1947 to 1957 baseball in New York. So Giants, Dodgers, and Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And the first chapter, it's talking about segregation and getting rid of it. And this part of the movie was in the book. And I remember reading about it and being so sad about how that happened. And this book kind of pushed me to read more about people who had to go through this. Willie Mays had to go through it. He tried to buy a house in San Francisco, and they said, "Oh, well, this house isn't available anymore, sir." "What do you mean this house isn't available? It's still in the market." And he did everything. He's, "Well, there's another house in another neighborhood that's for you." Like, "No, this is the house that me and my wife want." "Well, this neighborhood's not for you, sir." "What do you mean it's not for me?" And so that was the start of things changing in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
But this book just went into that whole scene in detail, where a couple weeks later Chapman wants to apologize to save face. And if you saw at the end of the movie, it says that he never managed in baseball again.
Anywhere again, yeah. Done. Good.
Wow.
Ben Chapman, mean man.
And then the same thing with I forget. Oh, it was the Montreal Royals manager. Harrison Ford's character, Branch Rickey. He goes to him. He says, "You can either manage him fairly and correctly, or you will be unemployed."
Mm-hmm.
And that to me, it just goes to show you his beliefs in it. Like, why are you doing this? Because you deserve a chance. Because you deserve to be the first. You should be the first, and everybody that follows is going to have you to thank.
Yeah, 100%. To this day.
To this day.
To this day.
There was one thing about this movie that I didn't like, and it was how much makeup and how much facial reconstruction Harrison Ford had. That was it. That was the only thing about, aside from the language, I thought I could watch this movie with my kids, but in due time.
Getting a little bit older. Yeah.
The amount of how his face changed, and I'm sure you noticed this, but there were some scenes where his face is super puffy, and there's some scenes where his face is very, very normal. I'm like, what happened to Han Solo? What happened to Indiana Jones? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he protecting the president, or is he the president?
Yeah. He was good. Harrison Ford did a really good job portraying. I don't know much about Branch Rickey or what he looked like, what he talked like, but if it was anything like that, he did a great job. But it's another person we have to thank. Branch Rickey, who a visionary in his own right, to see this and to get Jackie Robinson on the team and get him there. Maybe hopefully his intentions were for that. I think maybe it might have been motivated by money a little bit. It seemed like, I think he didn't want to sell tickets. Well, I don't know. I don't even know would have sold tickets. I don't know. But
you just want to win. You want to win that World Series. And that's where the money comes from.
And they didn't win that year, right? They didn't win. That was my daughter's like, how come they never win the World Series? All these movies, nobody ever wins the World Series. So that's what she said. Nobody ever wins the World Series. Dad. I'm like, well, it's not just about winning the World Series. I mean, she's like, well, isn't that what the game's about? I'm like, well, yeah, but movies aren't necessarily about winning the World Series. So.
No. His rookie season, he had 175 hits, 29 stolen bases in 40 attempts, 31 doubles, and a 297 batting average. And the Rookie of the Year award is now called the Jackie Robinson Award.
Okay. How many home runs did he hit? Did he say
12?
So, was he ever a power hitter? Was he more of a? He was
more of a
out at 20.
Yeah, I believe so. I didn't really look too much into it. I just saw that he had 12 home runs and 48 RBIs his first season.
Okay.
Probably
hitting out but not pedestrian, but not something, not, I don't know, nothing outstanding, otherworldly. You know what I mean? He would definitely grow into that, and he, obviously get better as he gets older. So
somebody once asked me, they said, what was so special about Jackie Robinson? And at this time in my life, I didn't really have an answer for them. I said, he broke the color barrier. Okay, well, what's so special about him? He broke the color barrier. He was the first one to do it. You tried to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what the question or what the line of questioning was when you start talking about stuff like this and us being white. I have no idea what these people ever went through. And I will never be able to go through what they went through, but I can empathize with them because I don't like anybody being treated poorly based on
Yeah.
the color of their skin or how they look. You know,
Yeah.
by no stretch. Was there anything else about this movie that you wanted to talk about?
Um, I just thought it was interesting. Led the league in hit by pitch that year. And you saw a couple of those getting hit right in the head. They didn't even wear helmets back then. Like, jeez, crazy, man. That's
Yeah,
insane. And then also just I was kind of looking into the history of the movie and everything, and I was like, Spike Lee wanted to make this movie back in the '90s with Denzel Washington being Jackie Robinson. That was the original plan. Then that fell through. Robert Redford wanted to make it with him, I think, starring as Branch Rickey. And then that fell through also. And then that's where they're landing here with Chadwick Boseman. So, I'm glad this movie got made. Haven't watched it. I always saw it there. Never got a chance to really watch it. I'm glad I did. I thought it was good. The only other thing I had was Leo Durocher. He was suspended for gambling. From what we understand, from what I read, it was more for gambling. He's kind of like told, like, you need to step away, man. You're gambling. It wasn't so much the adultery with the Hollywood actress. It was the gambling. They didn't take too kindly to, which understandable. So
yeah, that Catholic youth organization.
yeah, right. That they are the ones who did it, right? Yeah.
Somebody recently, they didn't know who Robert Redford was, and I had to think of a movie that he was in, and he was in Captain America: Civil War. I said,
That's right.
the guy who works for Shield in Captain American Civil War? Yeah, the old guy, the redhead. He doesn't work for Shield. He's like the vice president or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that's Robert Redford. They go, really? Yeah, it's like one of his only movies where he has such a small part in that I can think of. I said, you've never seen Jeremiah Johnson. You've never seen The Natural.
The
No.
Natural or what else? Sneakers. I love that
Yeah,
movie.
I couldn't. Where does this movie rank for you?
I think this might crack top 10. I thought it was pretty good. Like I said, it was a well-made movie. Um, I feel like next week I'll have a definitive list, but I think it's above honorable mention. Like I said, it was a really well-made movie. The baseball scenes were good. It was well acted. It was well shot. I don't have much bad to say about it. So yeah, I think middle of the pack, maybe 6, 7, somewhere around there when it was
Okay,
all said and done. Yeah, I thought it was
there
good.
you go.
Really good movie. I don't know if it was nominated for an award. I feel like it should have been. It was good. What about you?
We will look at if it was nominated for any awards because I think it could have been a very good biopic
Yeah, right.
nominee.
I think so too.
This movie is definitely top 10 material without a shadow of a doubt. It's just so good about telling the story that needs to be told.
Yeah,
At some point, everybody deserves to look at this. If you don't read books, watch the movie because this
yeah,
movie by far told the story of that first season, not only the first season, but, bringing Jackie Robinson into professional baseball and transitioning from playing with nothing. That was one of the other things is Brand Tricky's like, how come you want this kid from UCLA? Because he's played with whites before, because he
I knew.
knows how to mingle with them. Satchel Paige, he never played with a white guy before.
Mm.
Roy Campanella had never played with a white guy before. And then they slowly started bringing these guys in. And then there was a time where there was like 3 or 4 colored people on a team at once. And this is another thing that I read in that book, The Era, was, the Yankees had Elston Howard, I think. He was probably one of their first black guys. But there was like a quota for how many colored people you could have on your team. Yeah. So, all right, going from 42 to Mr. Baseball.
Mr. Baseball.
Tom Selleck and Dennis Haysbert. This movie was filmed in, where is it? I think it was from like 1992.
Yeah, 92.
Yeah. Jeff, you know what year Tom Selleck was born?
Okay, hold on. Let's see. So he's probably, let's go 48.
45.
Oh, dang. He's older than my dad.
Yeah.
I was thought my dad's 48. It's probably about that age. So I was thinking the mustache. My dad had the same thing. So 45. Wow.
Mustache rides for the ladies.
Geez. So,
Yeah.
wow.
So he was over the hill when they
Wow, he's
made this
pushing
movie.
80?
Yeah.
Wow. Good for him. Probably super handsome still, too.
I mean, have you seen that mustache lately?
I have it. What is he? Is he on TV, isn't he? I think he's on. I don't
Reruns.
know. Is he?
I'm sure he's on. I'm sure he's on TV, but he's still on Friends reruns.
Oh, of course. I didn't like that.
This movie also had Art LaFleur, who played the Babe in The Sandlot, and a Frank Thomas sighting.
Oh yeah, the Big Hurt.
The Big Hurt. They used Dado Field as that spring training, quote unquote, spring training in Lakeland, Florida scene.
Big Hurt. I love Frank Thomas. 2006 Oakland A came fourth in MVP voting.
God, him and Eric Karros, remembering that they were on the A's is kind of one of those immaculate grid responses.
Eric Karros there too, like 1 year.
What'd you think about Mr. Baseball, Jeff?
Mr. Baseball. This I'm like here to. I don't know. It's okay. I have a hard time explaining this movie and categorizing this movie because it's not you're not breaking any barriers. It's nothing original. It's nothing, innovative or anything like that. It's a solid movie. It's a good movie, but it's really well written and it's really sensitive to the Japanese culture, like more than most movies, any movies are really, if you think about it. Like it doesn't play down to stereotypes. It doesn't go for those jokes. There's a couple like said something about like, oh well, I don't want to eat my food moves around on the table or something like that, like sushi, like. But that's, I mean, honestly, dude, that was like it. It was very that the writers took their time to research what life was like and what the culture was like in Japan and what the game was like over there and the way that it differed from America. It really could have gone in a comedic way. I mean, they tried. It was a light comedy. There were some funny moments. I think they posed it as a comedy, a baseball comedy, but it could have gone slapsticky easily. You know what I mean? But like I said, they were really sensitive to the culture. Things were actually filmed there. They weren't just filmed in Hawaii or or Canada. It was actually filmed there and using the stadiums and really getting the sense of what a Japanese baseball team is on all levels, from off the field to on the field to in the clubhouse to the owners, down to the managers. It really hit all the marks of like what it's like as a baseball club in Japan. I really appreciate that about this movie. I'm talking myself into making it higher, I think. So I was really impressed. I went into it. I saw it when I was a kid. It was 92. So I was probably like 13, 14 when I watched it, probably on VHS. I remember watching it. And I don't remember much about when I remember. I just, like I said, I remember watching it. I remember that, what's his name? Dennis Haysbert was in it. And I remembered some of the things, Fish Out of Water, but it didn't really stay with me. It's not like a movie I think about. When people say like, what are the good baseball movies? It's not one that comes to mind, but I don't know. Maybe it will be now. I don't know. It was really good. Look at me saying really good now. I just said it was decent. What about you?
It works.
Yeah.
I was so like, baseball in Japan is so, use this term loosely. It's so foreign to us. We have no idea how they view baseball because it's a completely different culture. Kids here, we grow up, we have so many other things to do. There, it's like you're bred to play baseball.
The baseball players are bred to play baseball. Like they're, it's not like here where everybody plays, little league and you just go and then, all right, by fourth, fifth grade, middle school, you're kind of done. It's like, it's a specific thing there. It's doing some research on it. It was like, it's a business over there. It's more of a business than a sport. And you got that feeling from the manager or, that came from the owner down to the manager and the way that he conflicted with Tom Selleck character, the manager. that it is looked at as more of a business and not a game, which is why Tom Selleck was having a hard time, because he's like, hey, baseball should be fun. And you know what I mean? Like, that's what he said. Baseball's a game, game should be fun. But it's not exactly that way in Japan. Um, and they really did a good job, I think, of portraying that contrast in styles between America and Japan. Um, yeah, Tom Selleck was great. Mustache looked great. He's handsome. The love story could have done without. It's fine. All these love stories, I feel like it was an '80s and '90s thing, man. You just have to throw in a love story, get the ball rolling or something.
Maybe next week we can go no love story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 42 had a love story, but that was part of the movie because it's part of his life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The hokey pokey stretch, that was hilarious.
that was weird. That was funny. Did you notice the Montana jersey?
So that guy was in Little Big League.
Oh, was he really?
That was
I didn't even notice.
That was God, the relief pitcher, the big dude, where he goes out on the mound and he's like,
and he's like, go away.
Go.
Oh, really? Was it
yeah.
him? How funny.
Yeah. What's his name? His name is.
That's awesome.
Gotta look it up. I found it. I found his name and I totally forgot what it was. But yeah, I did see the Montana. How could I not see Joe Montana jersey? One of the things that I thought about was drop the ego. Like, you come to Japan, you are basically traded away from civilization, from American civilization to Japan. Drop the ego. Like, oh, it's all about me. It's all about me. Yoji, how come you never told me about this? You want my advice? You come to me with respect.
Yeah.
And that was one thing. Like, you're not given respect, you earn respect, and that's big. I like that he cut. Did you notice in the when they went to the restaurant where she ordered him Kobe steak when he went to cut the steak?
I didn't notice. No.
Oh, he cut it with a butter knife.
Oh, did he really? Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, the misconception about sushi is raw bait. Raw bait.
Okay, that's right.
Oh, the tradition that I want that they were doing in the movie?
What?
Get drunk and tell off your boss.
Yeah, that was good.
And then, these kids are so uptight you couldn't get a greased BB up their butt.
That was a good one. I like that one. I got to use that one again. I wrote that one down too. That was a good. I like that. We're not athletes. We're baseball players.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's funny because one guy I follow on Twitter, Dallas Braden, former perfect game winner for the A's. He's always I follow him on Twitter, and anytime a pitcher makes a good play, he's like, athletes! He reposted it on, guy coming off the mound and sliding towards third and firing back to first. It's like, athletes! So I thought that was kind of funny.
I wrote it here. The Giants player at the bar in the Montana jersey was Bradley J. Leslie. He died in 2013.
Another man. All these movies, all these passed away actors, man. Jeez. I like how my daughter even noticed too. She's like, why does this guy hate Cleveland so much? She noticed it too. I think we mentioned that on a previous one. Like, Tom Selleck just does not like Cleveland.
Does not like Cleveland.
They do not a big fan of Cleveland. But yeah, man. Like I said, I thought this was really well made. I really like the contrast. One thing I kind of noted was, the contrast was really well done in the cities where. You're driving through when he first gets there, and he's driving through, and it's bustling, it's neon lights, and there's food, and there's clubs, and there's things to go, and it's all this stuff. And then you go to your apartment, and he goes up, and it's kind of drab. It's just kind of like a boring apartment, you would think, in this kind of big city with neon signs and flashing lights. You go up in this fancy apartment, but it's not. It's just a regular kind of dull looking apartment. And from what I've understood, what I researched, like that's exactly what it's like in Japan. So I just like the authenticity of this movie. And I mentioned the ballpark where they're playing, on all dirt infields. They were all those fields were synthetic and all dirt on the infield. Not all of them. I think there was one that had the dirt around each bag, but I thought it was just really good. You can see the difference in stadiums. Just how many people are there as opposed to here, where it's a lot less. The stadiums don't even really go all the way around. It has in the bag, kind of in behind home plate, and then out there. But on the sides, it doesn't really fill in. It doesn't seem like a big stadium like how we think of it here. I think it just goes to show like the difference in, money and how much that, as I mentioned, is more of a business than this $1 billion sport that we have, here in America. So
When Uchiyama went to Hiroko's apartment, it was kind of close to the end of the movie, and he turned on the speaker. He went to turn on her speaker. Did you notice the beat that came on?
I guess I didn't know.
Yeah, one of them was Funky Town.
Oh,
and I was like, wait a second. I was like, what's that beat? What's that beat? Do 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 do. So
that's funny.
The atmosphere of the Japanese baseball games, to me that was huge, and I love the World Baseball Classic because it puts those games on a national level, not only national but worldwide level, and how the fans get into baseball so much, and it's like a chant for every player. You go to a game, hey, all right, cool, we're gonna make up a chant for Jeff Hester, cool, and it just riles you up. It gets you into that mood. The pitcher when they were playing against the Giants in that last game, he kind of reminded me of Nuke LaDouche.
Yeah, kind of. He did kind of, He had a Nuke LaDouche thing going for him, huh?
Because then he's like, however he says it, he says, "Now I buy the pussies." Like, you own the pussies.
You own the pussies. That's funny. I like how they came together. It was good. It was a good fish out of water, good fish out of water story, classic, 90s fish out of water. And Tom Selleck, I don't remember, I don't think this movie did great at the box office. I think really he only had one, like 3 Men and a Baby was probably his biggest hit. But he wasn't in, from what I know, I don't think many movies. He was more of a TV. Obviously, Magnum PI. Did a few movies there. I think there was a Western, Quigley Down Under or something like that. I never really saw it. But yeah, it's surprising that he didn't do more movies. I guess. I mean, like I said, he has that movie star look. Maybe just played better to TV, but obviously on Magnum PI, Friends, and I think some other movies or shows. But Tom Selleck did a good job. I have no problem with Tom, Mr. Mustache himself. So
Mr. Mustache himself, the agent Doc, he looked like to me he was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Yeah.
Wait, was he or does he look?
He looked like it. It wasn't him. I couldn't figure it out. Because I couldn't find him on the list on the cast.
Yeah. I know exactly.
But,
I know what you're thinking, isn't it? I know what you're talking about. Wasn't David Duchovny on Don't Tell Mom the Baby?
David Duchovny was on there, but it wasn't him because it was like.
You're talking about that other guy, the guy that was trying to hit on her.
I think so. Yeah. I could find the guy's name, but it never matched, and he was in.
We watched that movie like not that even that long ago. It was on HBO. My kids were like, "I don't think we've ever seen this." Like, well, let's gotta throw it on.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Does this crack the top 10 or is this honorable mention? Maybe honorable mention
size? I want to say I was thinking about it. I think I had it outside, but I don't know. Now I think I talked myself into it just talking about it. Like I don't know, man. Yeah, I might. Once I get the thing, I'll have a better list next week. But let's go. Let's see what I had. What did we do last week? We did. I think it's Over the Rookie and $1 Million Arm. I think even
Chasing 3000 and
Over that. And was it 61?
61.
No, we did that one.
No.
61. No, that wasn't it.
What did we do for episode 9, guys?
I'm drawing a blank. Chasing 3000, and we did. Just give me a second. It was Pride of the Yankees. That's right.
Yes, Pride of the Yankees. It is above Pride of the Yankees. Actually, this movie is not about Pride of the Yankees.
I was going to say.
I'm going to have a lot of honorable mentions. Okay?
Everybody's
almost all of them. I think there's the really bad ones like not necessarily $1 Million Arm. I don't think that movie cracked my top 10 or honorable mentions, but there were some pretty crappy ones in here that we talked about where it's like, all right, cool.
Major League
We're gonna have to. Major League 2 does not.
If that's not the top 5, then we got a problem, Nick. I don't know.
Major League 2's out. Get out of here. Yeah, I think this one's honorable mention status. Tom Selleck did a really good job. It definitely is a different baseball movie. It gives you a different feel for. This was a completely different movie. You didn't expect it. You're like, oh, cool. You got this sleazeball with a mustache sleeping with college age chicks. And I was like, what kind of bed?
Yeah. The sorority. I'm like, what is happening?
In a twin size bed.
Right. My daughter was like, I was like, yeah, it's probably not great. I love what was his what did he lead the team in at the beginning? He's like, I led the team in ninth inning doubles in the month of August.
In the month of August.
That's a great stat.
Yeah.
That's a great line. That's a great stat. It's a great stat to know.
Right.
Yeah.
You can call me Chief from
Yeah.
now
What'd you
on.
think
Don't
of the
call me
baseball
Coach.
teams?
I thought they were great. I thought
Oh,
they
they're
did
good.
well. I thought it was actual baseball. For a 45-year-old, he was definitely moving like a 45-year-old.
Yeah, and he should have been though. I mean, he was on the. I mean, he portrayed. Yeah, probably a little. I mean, he was on the downslope of his career, right? He had won World Series MVP, I think, 4 years
4 years
earlier.
earlier.
So yeah, you're probably thinking he's probably portraying somebody probably like 37, 35, 36, or 7, 38, probably pushing 40 maybe. Obviously he's a little older, but I mean, he did a headfirst dive into home on that triple by Max. Like, dang, look good. I mean, obviously that wasn't him, but good for him. And I really like the end where it was Max that got to go get a chance to go back to the big leagues. I really like that. He totally deserved it because you watch the movie and like every time that dude's up, he's cranking home runs, cranking triples, and everything. Like I thought that was a cool little service they did for old Pedro Serrano there. Got him go back to the majors. So that was kind of cool.
He did do a Pedro Serrano little thing where he went like this.
Yeah, yeah.
But the one thing that he didn't do was he had the tee in his locker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the toupee. I couldn't do the toupee.
Yeah.
Like, where'd you get the piece of turf glued on your head, dude?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else about these two movies you wanna?
No, that's all I got. I want to make a mention. My daughter. Well, we'll keep it for next week. Actually, never mind. I'm gonna keep it for next week. We're gonna, I think, run down these lists here and get a definitive because I feel like I've been saying, oh, it's about number 10, honorable mention for the last like 5 or 6. So I'm gonna come next week with the movies that we've ranked, what we've watched, and have a good ranking. So that's
cool.
our plan for next week. And what movies are we doing next week, Nick?
Next week we are doing Cobb with Tommy Lee Jones and The Babe with John Goodman.
Yes, two icons.
Two icons of baseball. They were both in the first Hall of Fame class.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Neither one unanimous.
Ty Cobb was the highest vote getter in the original one. I don't know how Babe Ruth wasn't.
He was over Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
You mean in that very first one? Interesting.
Yeah, very first one.
That's interesting because I always heard Ty Cobb, which we'll find out more, probably was not the nicest person. So that's interesting.
Ty Cobb and Robert Wool.
Yeah, and Robert Wool. Yeah.
All right, there we go. And let's thank you.
All right. Every time somebody walked by, I was like, "Hey, is that?" I kept thinking it was behind me. I saw that. I saw that too. Yeah, I know.